I already need more water. How is everybody doing? Let's give a second for people to come on. Let me know when you're here too. I had a delay in comments last week and I missed some and I didn't know. So sorry about that. I wasn't ignoring anybody. I'm gonna try and scoot this back without it going flying so I'm not like so big on the screen here. So, all right, we're gonna jump in. We're talking about herbal infused oils today. I just put out a video. If you didn't see the video on Saturday, check that one out. That one is on salve making. So salve making is probably one of the most popular ways to use herbal infused oils. There's a lot of, I don't want to call it misinformation because I mean, it's not wrong, but it's just not the best way that people are putting out there that, oh, you're going to make a salve. Let's just grab all of the ingredients fresh and just throw them in a pot and cook them up. And there you go, you got a salve. And while if you do that, you will have some properties in your salve, it's not going to make you a very potent product, a very potent preparation. The best way to infuse herbs into salves is the slow process. So the old-fashioned way, if you take your dried herbs, always use dried herbs, because if you use fresh herbs, the moisture content in the fresh herb is going to be adding to your olive oil and the water content in your olive oil, and then it goes rancid way faster. So if you have had, excuse me, if you have had, if you've made an infusion where you have an oil infusion where you've used fresh herb, don't give up and throw it away. You can still use it, but just know that the shelf life on there is not going to be as long as if you used dried herb. So use your dried herb if you've got that. Hi, Susan. And put that in there with your oil. Now, let's talk about ratios for a second before we move any faster. To make your herbal infused oil, that is getting really hard to say, herbal infused oil, you can use the ratios that you want. Hi, Paula. You can use the ratios that you want. I mean, again, you asked 10 different herbalists, we're going to give you 10 different ways. But the way I do it is I usually like, say you've got this, I would love to show you the side, but like the name of our town is here. And if you buy products from us, you get these and you see the name of our town. But, you know, just off in YouTube land, I really don't want that up there. So let's try and do this. There we go. Okay, so like say you're using a big, let's just picture a big mason jar, like a quart mason jar, right? So you can fill up your herb to halfway, a quarter of the way, whatever way you want with dried herb, and then just fill the rest with your carrier oil. And then you let that sit in a cold, dark place for 4 weeks. You don't need to go 6, you don't need to go 8. If you end up going longer, that's okay, but just don't store your herbal oils with the herb still inside it. There's a lot of places that put out these kinds of oils for like just aesthetic purposes. They have some herb in there, and a little bit of herb in there is not going to hurt it. But if it's like filled with herb in there, first off, that is really cutting down the amount of product you're actually getting. And second, that really risks rancid oil, like things going bad. And the oil might be okay, but that herb inside could be molded and like mushy and clog up your dropper. And there's just a lot of reasons why you don't want to have a lot of herb just sitting inside there. It's just not good. So if you are infusing, once you get to your 4-week mark, or like I said, if you accidentally let it sit a little longer, that's okay. Just strain it, and then you can go ahead and store it. Hi, Robin. How is Michigan? Do you guys have a bunch of snow? We got a bunch of snow, and then it melted. And it makes me so happy because I have not harvested my burdock yet. And I just learned about both thistle, which is coming in. I really want to tell you now, but I'm going to ruin the surprise with all the good information on it. That's coming out Thursday. That's my Thursday video. It's so exciting. Make sure you watch it. But I haven't harvested any of that stuff yet. So I'm very happy that we do not have snow. I'm not ready for snow, even though I know it's almost Christmas. And really, that's the only time I am okay with snow is Christmas. And then after that, it needs to go away. It needs to just go away because then it's just cold and frozen and gray and blah. I'm over it. I'm from Florida. I like hot weather. So, okay, back to oils. So, us also snow melted. Yeah. And then I have a friend in Idaho who's they're just getting dumped on. And then I saw another friend over, she is way up on like the northeast section of Maine, and they're going to get a ridiculous amount of snow. So, sorry, I keep clearing my throat. It's really annoying. All right. Back to the oils. Where did I leave off? I think we were talking about storage. So you can just store them on the shelf and they'll last about a year as long as they're not getting hit with direct sunlight and you've used, you know, new olive oil as opposed, or whatever oil you're using, as opposed to oil that's been sitting on your shelf for 6 months already. Because oils are really only meant to be good for a year. Some oils are a little different, but just kind of as a general rule of thumb, a year. A year is your good mark. If you store it in a really cold area like your fridge, then you probably get an extra 6 months out of it. Anything longer than that, though, trust your nose. Really. I mean, these, if they're rancid, they have a very, very distinct, very, very strong smell. It's disgusting. It's really gross. And I was describing it on Instagram as like a combination between dirt, leaf mold, and rotting food. It's just not good. It's really bad. It's a really bad smell. You're not going to miss it if it's going bad. You will catch it. So let's talk about uses. You can use herbal oils straight out of the bottle. They don't need to be diluted. You don't need to mix them with anything. You can put them straight on your skin. And I'm going to give you my story time. So my youngest son, one day, I might have to have a child run up my Ella campaign because this is ridiculous. As a matter of fact, let's see if they'll do it. No, they're not going to be able to find it. Oh, I put it up in the cabinet. Shoot. Okay. So he was, this is probably a couple years ago. Oh, let me answer you this first. I strained my oil-infused goldenrod this morning and stored then in clean olive oil bottle. Oh, was it the plastic olive oil bottle? I like to store mine in glass just because then you're not leaching, because plastic breaks down over time and then it leaches into the oil. So that's really my only hesitancy. I mean, it is oil, and if that's what you have, use what you have, you know, use what you got. If you cannot afford or do not have access to glass bottles, amber, or, I mean, these are clear. So, you know, whatever. Use what you have. But I would definitely be extra careful about storing it away from heat so you minimize the breakdown of the plastic. Only in tinted glass. Oh, you could totally do that in tinted glass. That's totally fine. Okay, so when my youngest son was, it was a couple years ago. Actually, was it pre-COVID? It might have been. I don't know. Guys, those last few years since COVID, it's just like, my husband and I were just talking about, like, when we were talking about something else from when we were kids. And then we started talking about when that job availability was detasseling for those who live in the country and the Corn Belt. Now kids can't do that around here. And we were talking about what a good job that was for kids. And, you know, now they're really missing out and they only give it to adults now. And I think it was over back in 2018. And we're like, wait a minute. That felt like a minute ago. What happened in the last like 5 years? They're just gone. Oh my goodness. Anyway, okay. But I think it was about then, 2018, 2019. He woke up in the morning and had like this little scratch and this little rash on his face. We're out on the land all the time, so I don't know what he got into. He didn't recall anything. Nothing was hurting. It was just itchy and really bothering him. And I was watching him for a while, and it was really driving him nuts. And I'm asking him about it. He's like, I don't know, it's just driving me crazy. So we put an ice pack on it because ice, if you have any kind of like insane itching, especially liver itching, if you have issues with your liver, you get this maddening itching. And the only thing that stops it is ice, because ice kind of tells your nerves to shut up and do what they're supposed to do. It just kind of calms everything down way deeper than just, superficially. So ice is good for calming itching. So I put just a small ice pack on his face for a while, just kind of on and off, sitting there with him. It calmed down enough. We moved on with our day. So this child particularly is on spectrum, which means he basically does not perceive injury, sickness, irritation, things like that in a way that it's going to bother him so much that he's going to seek me out and say, Mom, I need help with this. Can you help me out? He's not going to do that. This is my kid that when he had 104 temperature, he's like, my body feels really hot. I need to go outside. And it was like February. I'm like, no, you're not. But this is how he perceives things. His just senses are kind of wonky. So he was not like coming to me as things were getting worse again. And I just kind of like around lunchtime noticed that it was coming back and it was just kind of getting worse. And every time I would look over at him, it would be worse and worse. And then when it was to the point where I was like, okay, we're going to call the doctor and I'm going to do something about this. Then a kid got hurt and I had to go deal with that. And then by the time I came back again, it was like huge. It was like whole entire face going underneath the jawline, almost up to the eye. Call the doctor, send me a picture of it. Okay, sent her a picture. She said, you need to come in. If it goes up any higher into his eye or it was like feeling worse or anything, or if I notice any big changes, I needed to go straight to the ER. But my big concern was necrotizing fasciitis because it was just the way it was moving and the way it was looking. That was my big concern. So, and we had been playing in creeks and things like that, and usually that comes from water. It usually comes from, like, it's popular around like oceans and things like that, but that bacteria likes wet. So that was my concern. So I had gotten out the jewelweed. Now, jewelweed is a fabulous herb that is really good at calming allergic reactions to things on your skin. So if you didn't know this about poison ivy, you can only have a reaction to poison ivy if you are allergic to it. So if you are someone that can walk through poison ivy and doesn't have an issue with it, then you're not allergic to it. Most of the population is allergic to it. So that's why people have reactions to poison ivy. It's the same thing with like poison oak. So I got our jewelweed oil out and I started putting some on because they couldn't get him into the doctor till later. And I was not about to take all 4 of my children and my 1 neurotypical child that was going to be, he was going to be struggling through that experience, through an ER experience. I wanted to wait to see our doctor who knows him, can handle things appropriately. There was no point to the ER at this point. So, I put the jewelweed oil on him and almost immediately it started calming down. And in a very short amount of time, it was way smaller. And by the end of the evening, it was gone. In the morning, perfectly fine. The doctor didn't believe me. She wanted to see him the next day. And I'm like, sure, here you go. Here he is. And he's totally fine. I was telling her over the phone about it. She's like, what is jewelweed? So we were talking about it. And in the next day, I brought it in for her to see. And I was like, here, look at this is what it is. And here's the properties. And hey, look, herbs are good. They're pretty cool, huh? And she was really amazed. And I really think that was kind of the point in our professional relationship here where she started really respecting what I do as an herbalist. And I was still very much learning then, but I knew jewelweed. So that one, I think now if I call her up and I'm just like, you know what, he does not, same child, will not take ibuprofen or Tylenol, will not do it. Doesn't matter how sick he is, how miserable he is, he will not do it. But I can get a yarrow tincture in him. So I will do that. And when I call her up, I'm like, if this is what's going on, we need an antibiotic or whatever. She said, well, what have you done? Well, I gave him yarrow and I gave him this and this is what it does. And she says, okay, well, if that hasn't worked, then we can do this. She really does respect it now at this point because she saw it in action. So that really helped too. But anyway, the jewel weed went on there. It was fabulous. Having that infused oil on hand for emergencies is something that I keep only in the refrigerator. I won't keep that on the shelf because it's not going to last as long. We don't use it daily. Jewel weed, your second one, Jewel, jewel weed. So jewel weed will grow wild around water. And in nature, you will often find the things that are bad, like poison ivy, or let's see, what else? Oh, ragweed. You'll find the solution for it growing very close. So when you are finding a lot of poison ivy, there's two different kinds of poison ivy. There's like bush poison ivy and there's vine poison ivy. Your vining poison ivy will grow wherever it wants to grow. Your bush poison ivy is more around like closer to water. Denise, I don't know if I cannot translate that, Denise. I am so sorry. So you can find jewelweed. Jewelweed loves water, so it's all around water. We don't grow it on our farm because we don't have water growing through there. We used to have a spring-fed pond in the back, but that spring dried up, and with it, our chances of growing jewelweed. So I'm not going to try and mimic that because the water content that is in the ground, it really, really thrives on. And currently, maybe one day that would be a fun project to do in a very controlled environment. See if I can do it. I probably can if you keep the ground wet enough. I'd have to have the right nutrients too. So I don't know. That'd be a really fun experiment for one day when I've got the extra time to do that. That'd be really cool. But you can find jewelweed all over the place out in the wild. You can go find it next to lakes, next to streams, next to rivers. It grows well, it's a weed. It grows everywhere. I was gonna say like a weed. It grows everywhere. So we have access to it actually at my in-laws. They have a jewelweed source. It's getting kind of scarce, and I don't over harvest it, but this past year there was not much of it. There was just enough for my niece had to take some, and then we took some for making soap and just keeping, our supply of oil that we need for our family. But we do make a jewelweed soap, and it is really good in jewelweed soap as just kind of helpful for poison ivy. What you want to do with poison ivy is like dry everything out. So we make that soap with charcoal and with the jewelweed infused oil, and that really helps. And bentonite clay, we put that in there too, and it pulls it like dries all of that out at the face. Wherever you've got the reaction, it pulls all of the moisture out and helps it dry, kind of crust over and heal. So there's all that. That was totally long rabbit trail. Okay, back to this. Things you can do with the oils. You can put them on straight. That's what I did with my son. You can also put them in a cream if you've got like your favorite moisturizer. You can totally put them on. This is not just a night kind of a thing. You can do it in the morning. It's not going to clog your pores. If you're concerned about olive oil being a heavy oil, it is a heavier, thicker oil. So you can use something like jojoba oil, or grapeseed oil is a little bit thinner. I wouldn't use anything really thicker for a daytime oil if you want the moisture for your skin during the day, because like castor oil, super beneficial for your skin. Castor oil is incredible, but it's also incredibly thick, so it takes a long time, and then as it dries you can really feel it. It's not as extreme as it, but if you put aloe on your skin and that feeling when it dries and is soaked into your skin, how things kind of feel a little bit tight, almost like if you have a facial mask on and it has dried, that little bit of tightness that's in there. Castor oil kind of feels like that too. So I would mix it, if you're going to put this on like, morning and night, and you're going to use it multiple times a day, then I would put it, I'd put it in a lighter carrier oil. But I use the olive oil. I have no problem with the olive oil. I have very sensitive skin. I have rosacea. it's from my autoimmune disease. So fun little side effect. So I use rose oil in the morning and then I use nettle at night. Rose oil is super good for healing capillary damage and helping prevent more of it. And it plumps up the skin. It's very nutritive for the skin. It's just so great for the skin. It helps to take care of fine lines and wrinkles, and it's just the plumping of it, and it just kind of makes your skin look really like vibrant. It's really good, and it helps even skin tone also. Rose is fabulous. And then so I use that during the day because obviously like the visual appearance of rose would be more beneficial during the day, right? And then I'll use nettle, which is this green one here, in the evening, and I use that in my night cream. So you can add these to your lotions, and I just use a straight vitamin E cream, and I'll put some of the oil in there. Like I just put a little bit of oil in my hand, put the nettle oil in there with it, rub it together, put it on, and that helps with the inflammation. So we actually carry 4 different types of oil in our store. We make a lot more because they're in our soap. So you can make soap, herb infused. That's why we call it herbal soap, because it's herb infused soap. So we take the oils, and the oil is like the base to our soap. To most of our soap is olive oil. And you have to soap. And I'm only going to tell you a little bit of this because I have my winter herbal workshops that launched today. Yay, I'm so excited about them. One of them that's coming up next month, I think it's in my December group of workshops, that is going to be all about soap making. So I'll give you one little snippet of it. If you are using herbal infused oils in your soap, you need to soap at low temperatures because remember, herbs don't like heat. So if you do excessive heat, and when you're making homemade soap, you're using lye, and this stuff heats like you would not believe, over 200 degrees. So you need to keep things as cold as possible. You can use your distilled water. You can turn that into ice, and then you add your lye to the ice cubes, and it keeps things very cool. And you can cool your oil also, so you can keep things super cool. I usually soap around 60 degrees, and you have to move pretty fast, but if you're used to like the steps of it and everything, then it's not a problem. It just takes a little practice, and then you keep the properties of your herbs in your soap. So that's soap. You can use your herbal infused oils in soap in different kinds of beauty products. You can use them in salves. I already mentioned salves, didn't I? If I didn't, check out the video that I just put up Saturday on salve making. I used that in, yeah, I did talk about that. I used, what did I use? What did I use in that one? Comfrey. Comfrey is such a good topical herb. I never use comfrey internally. I don't ever do it. I don't ever recommend anybody to do it. In fact, I tell people don't do that because it can be very damaging to the liver. And unless you really know what you're doing, you should never take comfrey internally. So just stick with topical use. Comfrey leaf, root, all use it topical. So I used that video. I did comfrey and lavender oil in the infused oil, and then mixed with beeswax. And if you want to check out that video, it's my last video that just came out, so you can check that out. And then what else? Hair oil. You can make a hair oil out of herbal infused oil. I would absolutely not use olive oil if you want to use it during the day. So if you have curly hair and you just want to put that oil in there to help with your curls, because I know I have curly headed friends, and my hair just has like part of it. My hair is very confused. Everything underneath likes to have a good wave, like a light curl to it. Everything on top is stick straight. I don't know what's wrong with my hair, but that's what it does. But I do know my curly headed friends like to do oil treatments and just kind of keep a light oil in their hair. It helps with their curls to nourish them, keep them moisturized, and then helps with the look of them too. So you can absolutely do an herbal infused hair oil. I just would not recommend using a heavy oil like this olive oil. I would use a jojoba oil for sure. What's another lighter one? Almond oil is lighter. You just kind of have to play with them, get familiar with them. You can get small amounts of them on Amazon, and then you can just play with them from there and figure out what you like, what you don't like, and then go ahead and do your infusions from there. So does anybody have any questions? I've been talking for a long time. Has anybody else made any infused oils? I would say of all of the things to do, this is the easiest by far. It is so easy to make an infused oil. Takes the least amount of time. They only have to infuse for 4 weeks, and you don't even have to mess with them other than shaking them occasionally. So it's really, really easy. Easier than making tea, I really think. I really do, because you have to figure out what herbs go together and figure out ratios and how, what's going to taste good and what's not. You can also actually take, if you have a tea blend that you really like and you want to make that topical thing, you can totally take that tea blend and turn it into an herbal infused oil. Also, if the herbs that you're using have topical benefits to them, which most of them do. So if you guys, speaking of herbal teas, that is the workshop that is available this week. So let me tell you about how these workshops work. The workshops are $10, first off. I'm going to start off with that. They are super cheap. I wanted to keep them cheap for a few reasons. One, I think everybody should have access to very affordable education and not have to pay a ridiculous amount of money for herbal education. Getting ready to strain my infused marigold. Yay! That's awesome. I love marigold. That's a great one too. That should be a pretty, pretty color. Maybe not quite that vibrant, but it should be a pretty nice color. So I am keeping everything super cheap. That's not a sale price. That is the price. It's only $10 per class. You can take one class. You can take all the classes. They're all different topics. You can just choose what you like. So this week they come out, there's 3 classes each month. I'm going to be doing them for December, January, and February. So for this week, it is mixing herbs to make teas. So how to blend, it's basically herbal tea blending, I think is the name of the class. I created it. I can never remember what I call these things. But I go through all of the steps on basically how to take these herbs and put them together to use them. So you're not just having peppermint tea, or you're not just having lavender tea, or you're not just having these one herb preparations. You can actually blend them and get some use out of them and know what you're doing. So I talk about the ratios and what to use, the steps, because there's like 5 steps to it. So I talk all about that. I keep it very, very simple. My explanation of it is probably more complicated than the actual class. You also get a printable. So there's 2 videos for you. There's one little introduction to tell you how to do the workshop. Then there's the printable, and then there's the actual workshop. And at the end of the month, the last Friday of every month, I am going to be doing a live YouTube private that is going to, like, you get to pick my brain. You get to ask me any questions that you have about anything that you have made or anything that you have been struggling that you want help with. That is your kind of free access to me to ask me whatever. So that is going to be a private only YouTube video. So in order to get the link for that, to be invited to that, you have to purchase a workshop. So I have the full list on my website now in the Herbal Winter Workshop category. If you go down to shop, there's a little drop down, go to Herbal Winter Workshops, and you can see all of them. The only one that is up and available right now is the tea blending one. Then next week, we're going to go infusions and decoctions, because there's a difference, and it's not all just tea. It all ends up in a cup. It's all tea, but there are different, there's different things that you have to do for different herbs. And if you, for example, if you use marshmallow root in a hot infusion, it's not going to end well. So it's not going to be a tasty experience. So there are certain herbs that need to be cold infused, certain herbs need to be hot infused, certain herbs need to be in a decoction in order to make a tea with them and it be a good experience and it be beneficial to you and tasty and all of those things. So that's going to be the next class. And then the third one for December is going to be about blending tinctures. Now, I have talked to you guys, I've done videos on this where I'm saying only do single herb tinctures. Now, the reason I'm saying that is not because you can't use more than one herb in a tincture. The reason I'm saying that is because when you are first starting out, which is I think what most people, are here for on my channel, I'm catering more to like the beginner / intermediate person. If you're advanced, you know all this stuff, but the beginner intermediate person is still learning, getting familiar with the herbs, getting familiar with the type of preparation, and learning how to mix things. So this is like the perfect thing, these workshops. Kind of gives you, if you're familiar with some herbs and you're like, maybe I can mix a couple of these, starting to get curious about things, this is a perfect thing to teach you how to do that. And, okay, so the tinctures, if you are taking, say 3 tinctures, say you buy a tincture off of Etsy or something, and it's a gut tincture, this is going to be great for your gut. And it's got, let's see, slippery elm bark and marshmallow root and dandelion root and burdock root. And it's got all these different things, and you have a reaction. Or, I don't know, it's not working the way you wanted it to. Like some things are working, but some things aren't. You have no way of knowing what you're having the reaction to or what's not working for you. If you do these herbs individually first, if you are doing single herb tinctures first, and you are getting to know each one of these herbs, you're getting to know how they are reacting in your body, then you know how to build off of them. You know exactly what your dosage is for each one of these herbs. You know exactly how your body is going to react to them or not react to them. And you will be able to put together a blended tincture that is perfect for you. And that's really, you got to play with herbs to really have a good understanding with them and to get your best results. So that's part of what these workshops are about, is giving you a really deep understanding. I don't want to be one of those accounts, one of those places where you go and you just get information thrown at you and you're left to figure it out. And some people will have good experience with it, and some people will be like, well, I knew herbs were pointless. They're not. They are incredibly powerful. They just have to be used right. Like pharmaceutical medication, right? They have to be used right. Like some people, let's talk about pain medication. Some people go in, oh my goodness, when I had my kidney stone last December, oh, that was the worst pain of my life. But the pain protocol that they had did not touch my pain, not even a hair. And they're like, well, this is what we do. I'm like, this doesn't work. And I had to sit in that pain for almost a week before, and this was post-surgery, because the stent is the worst part for me. Some people it's the stone. For me, it's the stent. The stent is absolutely awful. It's worse than the stone. I had to wait almost a week to get a hold of someone to give me the medication that I needed. And then I could get pain control, but it was barely pain control. And it was awful because my body does not respond to all pain medication the same way. And some people are like that with antibiotics. Like certain antibiotics do not work for them. It's the same thing when you have allergies. Some people have allergies to antibiotics or medications and they just don't work for them. So you have to be on something else. Herbs are the same way. It's the same way. It's nature's pharmacy. It's the same thing. It takes time to get to know them. So, yeah, take that time. Take that time. Don't just rush into something because you see a really nice recipe on TikTok or here on YouTube or on Instagram or wherever, or from a friend, and they swear that this is the best thing ever. You could react very differently from it. So, take your time and get to know them. But learning in these workshops, I feel like winter is the perfect time to do these workshops. That's why they're called the winter herbal workshops, because things are slower now, at least for most of us. I feel like things kind of slow down. The garden season is done. The garden's put to bed. The hours are shorter in the day. We don't have as much daylight. People are resting more. I think for me, it's the best time to learn, to really dive in and commit myself to learning new things and to diving deeper in things that I want to have a better understanding of. So I put these together because I thought that was the perfect time to do it. Just December, January, and February. January is going to be focused more on making things, and then February is going to be focused more on growing things. So I'm going to have workshops dedicated to you guys learning how to grow these herbs. We're going to talk about cold stratification. We're going to talk about propagation. We're going to talk about propagating from different ways that you can propagate. We're going to talk about seed starting, about companion planting with your vegetables, because even if you don't want to have the abundance that herbs bring, they are massively beneficial for your vegetable garden, and you can cut down your pest load. A huge cut down in your pest load. So, hi from Canada. What herbal oils do you make just to use as oils? We make so many. So we make jewelweed, and that's more for, if you missed that, that is more for if we're having reactions to something. So I use that example with poison ivy. It calms down those kinds of like dermatological reactions to things. And we like to keep that on hand for emergencies only. But for daily use, I personally like to use our rose oil that we make in the morning and the nettle oil that we make at night. And I have some examples. I didn't grab everything to bring up here with me, but here's the nettle oil. You can see it's got that nice green nettle color. Calendula, super great for any kind of skin issues, skin irritations, wound care, all of those kinds of things would be great for that. Oh, you know, be another really good one is plantain. Plantain oil would be really good for if you have cuts, scrapes, bites, stings, rashes, things like that, because it's got that antiseptic property in the plantain, which just kind of helps knit, you know, the tissues back together and help heal. So pretty much any oil, any herb that has a topical property, you can turn into an herbal oil. And then you can use them just the straight oil like you're asking, or you can put them in salves, you can put them in soap, a lot of different things you can do with them. You can put them in a lotion or a cream. So a lot of different ways you can use it. Comfrey. Comfrey is a fabulous one to put. Just use the oil straight too. We also have lavender, and I said the rose. So currently in our farm store, what we have available online right now is the calendula, the nettle, the lavender, and the rose, because those are our most popular ones. So I keep those stocked. So does anybody else have any questions? I can't believe it's only 7:40 and I'm done running my mouth. I have said what I have come to say. Does anybody have any questions, any other questions about things? And it can totally not be herbal oil related. Like, I'd love to hear what you guys are making right now. I am getting so many messages from people on Instagram about things that they're making. People are sending me pictures and things of making all sorts of different things. So I am really excited to see you guys doing this and really diving in and not just soaking it in, but actually using what we're talking about. It makes me really happy. Oh, you want to hear something exciting? I got monetized. So I am monetized now on YouTube. So just watching the videos is like the best way to support us now, because we are monetized. So I'm super excited about it. If you have somebody that can't have alcohol, what would you do for a tincture? Okay, so a tincture is alcohol. That's it. There's a lot of things out there that talk about non-alcoholic tinctures. That's not a tincture. So if you are using glycerin, that is a glycerite, and that follows completely different rules. I don't make glycerites. I can, but I don't like to, because I just feel like with a glycerite, you don't get the full benefits of the herb. And if they can't have alcohol, and I'm not going to ask for personal information, if it's something, Robin, that you want to talk to me personally about, I'm available to do that. But the amount of alcohol that you take in from a tincture is more than what you get from eating an apple. So the tinctures are very safe. And there's also another way that I have read and heard people talk about. I don't have experience doing it, but if you like, pour your tincture and you just leave it out and sit, that the alcohol evaporates from it. I don't have experience from that. I have not done the research on that, but that could be something that you can look into also. If the alcohol is evaporating off of it, then it's not an issue. Okay. But, look into glycerites too. Glycerites are a thing if they're just absolutely adamantly against tinctures. But then my second recommendation would be to take it in a tea. I am just joining. I was wondering about putting 2 or more oils together in an oil. You absolutely can do that, Kate. You absolutely can. So it just depends on the herbs. Oh, and I see you farther down here. I will get to you guys in the middle here in a minute. Okay, I meant in a salve, like putting comfrey and plantain or arnica oils together in a salve. You can totally do that. And you can play with the ratios too. Like you can do heavier with the comfrey, lighter with the plantain, or vice versa. Put your arnica in there together. You can totally do it. Okay, goldenrod oil on my knees now. Yes. Do you know anything about Nigella saliva seed oil? Sativa. Okay, yeah. The seed, no, I do not off the top of my head. Hang on. Why is this? Hang on, guys. I'm having a little technical difficulty here. Okay. It's like freezing and not letting me scroll to get questions. Okay. Okay, we got that one. What herbal oils do you make just to use as oils? We got that one. Okay, here we go. 1 medically, 1 too much fun. Are you talking about your knees? Okay, so Kate, if you are using arnica oil, are you talking about like using arnica oil as like your carrier oil? Like, where did I put my oils? Like, there it is. Like I used olive oil in this. Are you talking about using arnica oil as your carrier and infusing the comfrey and plantain in that? Or are you talking about adding arnica oil to it? Because arnica oil is already an infusion. So you could still further infuse your comfrey and your plantain in there, and then you could use that topically. If you wanted to mix it together in a salve, I guess it would depend on that oil, because the ratio that I do and the ratio that I give in my ebook, that is, why am I blanking out? 1 cup of oil to 1/4 cup of beeswax. So, but that's with, if I'm doing, those heavier oils that I'm working with. If you've got a different kind of carrier oil in there, this is being so weird. If you've got a different kind of carrier oil in there, then you just kind of have to play with it, unfortunately. But I mean, the good thing about it is you can always, in a salve, you can always gently warm it back up. I would highly recommend going and watching my salve making video, because I talk all about that and how important heat is to keep it low. I use sweet almond as my carrier, made each separately. Okay, yeah, you can totally do that. So if you made them each separately, you could totally mix them together and then add your beeswax. So do like equal parts, or play with the parts that you want and put that together and get your 1 cup of oil, and then get your 1/4 cup of beeswax, and you should be good. That should make a really nice salve for you. Do you mind me asking, what are you using that for? Comfrey, plantain, and arnica. That would be, let's see, off the top of my head, probably like some joint pain, muscle pain. What is arnica? You're welcome, Kate. Arnica, Robin, is another herb that is really good for, yep, for pain relief. It's really good for joint, muscle, ligament, tendon kind of pain. It really drives in deep. Pairing arnica with not comfrey, castor oil, really, really good at like diving in. Like it really gets it deep in there to really target the issues that you're having. Comfrey is, or not comfrey. Come on, brain. We can do these. We can do this. Castor oil it really penetrates deep in. I think there's a lot of information on castor oil out there. I think you guys have probably all come across all of that. Barbara O'Neill is one that there's videos of her all over the place. If you YouTube search her, there's a ton of information, but you can YouTube search castor oil and her Barbara O'Neill, and it's so informative, all of the things that castor oil can do, and there's tons more information out there. And if you are like more science minded and you want like the facts, the proof, you know, if you, so to speak, if you go to the NIH website, you can type in virtually any herb and you can type in castor oil and things like that, and you will see so many different studies and medical journals and so much good information out there that shows you the studies and the proof, so to speak, that you know how great all of this stuff is and how much it works. And it's not all just stuff in America, it's from all over the world. I used it for pain relief after knee replacement surgery. That is great, Kate. So can I ask, did it help speed up your healing process also? Because that's another thing. Comfrey, fabulous. Well, plantain too, fabulous for healing the skin. Comfrey specifically used for wound care and wound healing. That is a absolutely wonderful herb. Singing the praises of comfrey because comfrey is incredible. I'm very much looking forward to getting it planted from cuttings next year and putting it all over my orchard because it's so good. The roots go so deep, like so deep, that they pull up all of those properties that are deep in that soil and bring it up to more closer to the surface where the roots of the fruit trees are, because you know those tend to go like kind of down and out, right? And they go out all over. Well, it brings it up, and then the fruit trees can pull up those nutrients. And then you can also use the comfrey because comfrey is incredibly prolific. And if you have a seeded comfrey, if you're going to plant comfrey, I might suggest, unless you want it everywhere, do not get a seeded comfrey. So you want a comfrey that does not go to seed. They make different kinds. The ones that go to seed, it seeds easily and you will have it all over the place. And once you have comfrey, good luck getting rid of it. It's prolific. It's very prolific. And just because if you've ever tried to transplant a peony, you understand any little bit of the root is going to produce a whole new plant. And that's how comfrey is. So you can do what's called chopping and dropping with comfrey leaves also. If you don't want to have all of the comfrey ever created on your shelf because it is that prolific, if you don't want that, then you can just cut the leaves down all the way to the base of the ground. You're not going to kill the plant. And you can just put them down at the base of your fruit trees. You can put them down and overwinter in your vegetable garden. You can just compost them and make some incredible compost. Oh my goodness, that would be incredible compost. And then it'll just feed your soil. And it's absolutely, I mean, incredible is just the word to describe it. It's so fabulous. Yes, I also used CBD oil. Okay, so when I do acupuncture, my acupuncturist, she's a chiropractor that also does acupuncture. She uses a CBD oil on my back, and that is incredible, but I have never found another CBD oil that works for me, doesn't touch me. And I feel like CBD is one of those things that needs to be like, you have to have the right strain of it to work for you. So you really need to like work with somebody um, to get the right type. But whatever she uses on my back, I gotta see if I can get a hold of some of that, because whatever she uses on my back, she does that and then does the all the needles, and then she does cups. This is when I'm flaring. If I start to feel a flare coming on, that's what I'll do. So then she'll do the cups, and then I sit for, whatever the time is, and I don't even know. I have no idea. And then she comes in, pulls the cups, pulls the needles, and then she goes over it again with another oil, and does like kind of a deep tissue kind of massage to like get everything driven in. Drived. I almost said drived. And that has been just so amazing. And then I get the acupuncture, like the long-term acupuncture in my ears afterwards. So good. And I'm out of the flare within 2 days. It's just been life-changing for me. Love, love, love comfrey. Me too. My first time growing comfrey in 5-gallon bucket. Now that is a good way to do it if you don't have the space to do, to do it all over the place, and you don't want those big, super long, deep tap roots. Yeah, definitely. So I'm curious, Susan, how did it grow? Did you get like the big, huge, gigantic plants because you don't have then the root availability for it to drive down deep like that? I'm curious about that. Robin, fed fruit trees with comfrey. Yes. Yes. Such a good idea. I want to plant it around we have 9 fruit trees. I want to plant it around each and every one of them, because they're fine. They're just they're not producing it, and they've been there for 5 years. They're still very small, and even though I fertilize them and I prune them and I do all of the things that I have always done with fruit trees that have been fine. I've got 2 cherry trees right up front here that do amazing, but on our farm, these 9 fruit trees they don't love life. So I really want to give them some comfrey. I agree about the CBD. My massage therapist sold it to me. Oh, I miss massage therapists. We don't have a medical massage therapist here, and I need one to deal with my AS. But massage therapy, I used to go monthly. And they were incredible. Oh, so wonderful. There was this place, I can't remember the name of it, but there was this place. What was the name of it? It's like on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember it. Anyway, but it was in like the northwest suburbs of Illinois. It's like right outside Chicago. It was this chain massage place, and you could get a massage, and then they had these steam showers. Oh my goodness. Ever since then, it is my life goal to have a steam shower in my house. I told my husband, when we build the house, the permanent house, our forever home, will have a steam shower. I need this in my life. It's incredible. Agree about the CBD. I ordered a small transplant. It is doing well. I plan to harvest and dry some leaves for infused oil. Fabulous idea. You can harvest the root too, if you want to. If it's getting kind of too big for its britches, you can definitely cut that down. You can slice that sucker right down in half. And the leaves may suffer for it, but it's going to be fine the next year, and it'll pop right back up. They're very resilient plants. They don't die. They're good. Oh, we got about 5 more minutes left. Does anybody have any more questions or comments or experiences? I'd love to hear them. Tomorrow, I think I mentioned on a live, was it last week or the week before? I mentioned that we are moving to the farm. And the process at which we are going about that is kind of different. It's kind of interesting. So you are going to want to watch that. That is going to be, it's going to be an interesting journey, and it's an interesting story. So keep an eye out for that video tomorrow morning. That will go up, hopefully, if my rural internet cooperates, it'll be up tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Will comfrey have the same properties if grown in a pot? Absolutely. You just have to make sure you have quality soil, that you're not just putting, excuse me, whatever kind of dirt in there. I have like a hiccup stuck. It almost feels like, like, am I gonna hiccup? And am I not? If you are not fertilizing it also, I mean, it's going to be as good as what it pulls up, right? So if it's being fed well, if it's being watered consistently, if it is in a good quality potting soil, then yeah, it's gonna have the good properties. It's not going to be as nutrient dense as what you would find in like earth planted. I call my non uh, raised bed garden my earth garden. So if it's like earth garden planted, then it's not going to have the, you know, the deep legs, the deep roots down deep, pulling up all of those dormant, all that dormant goodness that's in the soil. So it's not going to have all of that, but it's going to pull up everything that you put in it. So the better your soil, I would not even do a potting soil. I would do straight compost. So definitely keep feeding. If you're going to put your comfrey in a pot, I would highly suggest using a good quality compost. I would use an organic compost, because you can get compost from any hardware store. Just get organic compost to put in there. Who has never had a massage? Oh my goodness. That's shameful. I miss them. I miss them so much. Oh, I'm out of water. I miss them so much. They're wonderful. I'll propagate some to plant in the ground. Thanks. You're welcome, Susan. Just also, does yours flower? Do you get those purple flowers on your comfrey? Because if you get those, if you don't want it everywhere, pull those flowers off immediately. Like, don't even give them a day. You start to see them bud, pull them. Pull them, or it's going to go everywhere. It doesn't go like, you know, mint will do, or, you know, any kind of mint like oregano or anything will do, where it goes under the ground and will send out runners. It doesn't do that. It's like thistle. If you've ever had a problem with thistle, those seeds they fly, and anywhere they land, you have it. Not yet. Okay. All right. So maybe you did get a non-seeding comfrey, which is still going to come back year after year. It's a hardy perennial. I think what does comfrey go down to? I have a friend in zone 3, and she grows comfrey well. So I wonder if it goes down to 2. I don't know how high up comfrey goes. Comfrey is one of those, it will grow like almost anywhere. It's just very happy. It loves life anywhere it goes. So, okay, it is 8 o'clock, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and pop off here, because my daughter needs to go to bed and I'm sitting on her bed. So it's just been a few months. Oh, okay. Susan, let me ask you real quick. I get the flowers. I'm in zone 3. Okay. So, Shan, how many years have you had yours? And if it flowers, do you have an issue with it going everywhere? See, now I have some extra questions. She'll go to bed in a minute. She does need to get to bed. So if it's just been a few months, Susan, are you in a warmer climate, or did you bring it back? Did you just bring it inside to overwinter it? Which I'm pretty sure it'd be fine still if it was in the ground. If you're in a cold climate and it's in a pot, it's those kinds of things. I usually just insulate really well. I insulate the sides all around the pot. I insulate the top. I water really heavily, because heavily watering is also a really good insulator. Zone 3. Hang on. You're in, okay. Robin, you're in zone 3. Shan have had them for about 3 years, no issues, spreading everywhere. Okay. But they double in size every year. Yes, they do. And my friend that I'm talking about is Chelsea from Little Mountain Ranch. So I've seen hers, seen her just talking to her, and then seeing in her videos also, they're like super tall and they're everywhere. I'm in zone 8. We've been having a roller coaster weather. Yes, you have down in there. Just, yeah. If you are in like the southeast section of the country, yeah, your weather's been insane because where we're at Northwest Illinois, we're in Tornado Alley. So we get insanity. It's just, and usually the last few years, it has been absolutely crazy with the tornadoes. We've had, was it last December? We had 22 tornadoes touch down in Illinois in one afternoon. It was insane. But now it seems that all of our tornadic weather during the typical time that we have it has like shifted down, and now it's going across like the south and southeast portion of the country. It's crazy. Chelsea is how you found me. Yay! I love Chelsea. She's great. I love watching her videos and talking to her. She's great. So, okay. I need to pop off here because I can hear my daughter downstairs getting kind of restless. And when we get to that point where we're hyper, then bedtime is very difficult. So I need to pop off here. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I had a lot of fun. I love doing these and getting to know you guys and talking to you. So I'm going to put some links down. Actually, I think I already did. I did. I put links down in the description box below that are talking about the Herbal Winter Workshops. Check them out. Take a look. See if it's something you're interested in. Again, I made them super affordable. They're only $10 and they're staying that way. It's not a sale price. Lots of great topics. You can do one, you can do all, you can do none and just be here for the free content, which is awesome anyway. So, and then our farm store is still packed full of stuff. I restocked a couple things, and if you want to purchase something so that you have it by Christmas, then I would suggest getting it within the next week so that there is time for everything to be shipped. I just sent out the last of the Black Friday orders today. So if you ordered stuff for Black Friday and haven't gotten it yet, it went out today. And I think some people that have ordered Black Friday stuff have gotten their stuff because they're sending me pictures and tagging me and stuff now. So, I think you should be able, if within the next week, you should be able to get everything that you order comfortably by Christmas without any issues, again, within the next week. So, and yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all the business that we have. So guys, keep a lookout for some awesome videos and some very informative videos coming soon on YouTube. I'm very excited. So, okay, thanks guys for hanging out, and I'll see you next week. Bye.